I didn't argue when my son told the judge I was senile. I didn't fight when he took my house keys. I just signed the papers and walked out with my old suitcase. 3 months later, he realized the signature he needed most was the one I never gave him. My name is Thomas Reynolds, Tom to most people. For 42 years, I worked as an aerospace engineer. For the last 20 of those years, I did something else, quietly on the side. I invested. Small at first, a few thousand here and there. Tech stocks in the 90s, real estate before the crash, Bitcoin when people thought it was a joke. By the time I retired at 65, I had built something most people never knew about, a portfolio worth just over $18 million. I lived in a modest 3-bedroom ranch in Mapleton, Ohio. I drove a 2008 Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door. I wore the same flannel shirts I'd bought at JCPenney 15 years ago. My neighbors thought I was just another retired guy living on Social Security and a small pension. That's exactly what I wanted them to think. That's exactly what I wanted my son Marcus to think. Marcus. My oldest child, 38 years old, MBA from a decent state school, worked as a regional sales director for a medical supply company. He made good money, around $200,000 a year with bonuses. But it was never enough. Not for Marcus, not for his wife Vanessa. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there for years. The way Marcus would drop hints about my age. Dad, you forgot to return my call again. When I'd called him back within an hour. Dad, you asked me that same question yesterday. When I hadn't. Small things. Building a narrative. Vanessa was more obvious. She'd walk through my house like she was measuring for new furniture. When you're gone, Tom, we'll probably gut this kitchen. It's so outdated. She said it like I wasn't sitting right there, like I was already dead. My daughter Emily was different. She taught 3rd grade at Lincoln Elementary, made $45,000 a year, and never once asked me for money. She'd come over on Sundays with groceries, cook dinner, and we'd watch old westerns together. She'd hold my hand during the sad parts. She was her mother's daughter. Sarah had been like that. Gentle, real. She'd been gone 8 years now. Cancer. The aggressive kind. After Sarah died, I thought about telling the kids about the money, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the way Marcus immediately asked about the life insurance policy at the funeral. Just practical questions, Dad. Someone has to think about these things. While Emily was still crying over the casket. So I kept quiet. I kept living small. And I watched. Marcus's visits became more frequent about 2 years ago, always with a purpose. Dad, I've been thinking, this house is too much for you, too many stairs. What if you fell? There were 4 steps from the garage to the kitchen. Dad, I saw you mixing up your pill bottles. That's dangerous. I took 1 blood pressure medication. 1 bottle. Dad, you drove past the turn to my house 3 times last week. I'm worried about your memory. I hadn't been to his house in 2 months. That's when I knew what was coming. Marcus was building a case, documenting evidence that didn't exist, preparing to have me declared legally incompetent so he could take control of my finances. What he didn't know was that my finances weren't in my name. Not anymore. 5 years ago, I'd moved everything into a series of trusts, complex structures that my estate attorney, a woman named Patricia Chen, had helped me build. Trusts that required very specific conditions to access. Conditions Marcus would never meet, but I let him think his plan was working. The court hearing was on a Tuesday in March. Marcus had hired a lawyer. They'd lined up a doctor I'd never met who'd somehow examined me and determined I had moderate dementia. The evidence was thin, circumstantial. But Marcus played his part well. He cried. Actual tears. Your Honor, I love my father, but he's not safe alone anymore. Last month he left the stove on. He forgot to pay his electric bill. The lights were shut off for 2 days before I found out. None of that was true. But I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't present evidence. I just sat there in my old flannel shirt and my Walmart khakis and nodded when the judge asked if I understood what was happening. Mr. Reynolds, your son is petitioning for limited conservatorship. Do you understand what that means? I guess so, Your Honor. Marcus is a good boy. He's just trying to help." The judge looked uncomfortable. Emily was there, sitting in the back. She'd tried to oppose it, but she didn't have money for lawyers. She'd stood up and said, "Your Honor, my father is fine. This is wrong." But one daughter's word against a son with documentation and expert testimony doesn't go far. Marcus got his conservatorship, limited but enough. Control over my finances, control over where I lived. The judge said it was temporary, subject to review in 6 months. Marcus's lawyer made sure those reviews got delayed. Paperwork issues. Scheduling conflicts. The temporary arrangement stretched into something more permanent. Marcus picked me up after the hearing in his BMW. "Don't worry, Dad. We're going to take good care of you. I found a great place. Meadowbrook Senior Living. You'll love it." Meadowbrook was a nursing home. Not the nice kind. The kind that smelled like industrial cleaner trying to mask something worse. Shared rooms, thin walls, a TV room with one television, and 20 people fighting over the remote. Marcus paid for it out of what he thought was my money. What was actually my small pension account, with about $47,000 in it. He hadn't found the real money yet. But he was looking. I watched him go through my house over the next 2 weeks. He didn't know I'd come back. Let myself in through the spare key hidden under the third porch board. He'd hired an estate sale company. They were sorting through my things. Vanessa was with him, pointing at furniture. That table might be worth something. And those books. First editions, they were Reader's Digest, condensed books from the 70s, worth about 50 cents each. Marcus was in my office, my old home office, where I'd spent 30 years managing my investments on a desktop computer he thought was just for solitaire and email. He was going through files, tax returns, showing my pension and Social Security, bank statements for my checking account that never had more than $3,000 in it. He looked frustrated. "There has to be more," he told Vanessa. "He worked 42 years. He must have savings somewhere." "Maybe he spent it all," Vanessa said. "Old people do that. Cruises, stupid purchases. Maybe that's why he didn't fight. Nothing left to fight for." Marcus shook his head. "No, Dad wasn't like that. He was cheap. There's money somewhere. I just need to find where he hid it." He sold my house 6 weeks later. Got $280,000 for it. It was a decent sale for Mapleton. He paid off my funeral expenses in advance. Practical. Bought himself and Vanessa a new boat with the rest. A nice one. 30-foot cabin cruiser. Named it Easy Retirement. I saw the pictures on Vanessa's Facebook. They didn't make the profile private. Emily came to visit me at Meadowbrook every Sunday. She'd bring real food. Sandwiches from the deli I liked. We'd sit in my tiny room, and I'd tell her about my week, the roommate who snored, the watery soup, the activities director who treated us all like we were 5 years old. "Dad, this isn't right," Emily said. She'd been saying it for weeks. "Let me help. Let me hire a lawyer. This whole thing was wrong." "Honey, I'm okay." "Really? You're not okay. You're in this place. Marcus sold your house. He's spending your money on boats and God knows what else." Mom would be horrified. She was right about that. Sarah would have been horrified. But Sarah would have also understood what I was doing. She'd always been patient. "Tom," she'd say, "sometimes the best way to teach someone is to let them make their mistake and feel it." Marcus's mistake was just getting started. And he was going to feel every bit of it. I gave it 3 months. 3 months of living at Meadowbrook, playing the part of the confused old man who'd lost everything. 3 months of watching Marcus's social media. Pictures of the boat, pictures of a new Tesla, a post about finally upgrading the kitchen. Not his kitchen. His kitchen was already nice. He'd rented out my house to a young couple. Was collecting rent on a property he'd bought with what he thought was my only asset. Then I made a phone call. "Patricia, it's time." Patricia Chen was 62 years old, sharp as broken glass, and had been my attorney for 15 years. She knew everything. The trusts, the accounts, the plan. "Are you sure, Tom? Once we start this, it's going to be ugly." "I'm sure. Let's begin with the house." The house was easy. Marcus had sold it, but he'd never actually owned it. I'd transferred the deed into one of the trusts years ago. What Marcus had sold was something he had no legal right to sell. Patricia filed the paperwork on a Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, Marcus got the call from his real estate attorney. The sale was invalid. The deed was fraudulent. The young couple who'd been renting had been paying money into an illegal arrangement. They wanted their deposit back. They were considering a lawsuit. Marcus called me that night. It was the first time he'd called in 2 months. "Dad, I don't understand. There's some problem with the house. They're saying you still own it? But that's impossible. You signed the papers." "Did I, son? I don't remember that." "Dad, you were right there. We went to the title company together." "We did?" "I'm sorry, Marcus. Things are a little fuzzy these days." I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. Heavy. Stressed. "Dad, this is serious. The buyers are threatening to sue. Do you understand what that means?" "I'm sure you'll figure it out, Marcus. You're a smart boy." Phase 2 started the next week. The boat. Marcus had financed part of it, about $60,000, and put down the rest in cash. The cash that came from my house sale that wasn't actually a real sale. Patricia's team traced every dollar. The boat dealership got a call from the bank. The funds used for the down payment were from a fraudulent transaction. The loan was in jeopardy. They wanted the boat back or immediate full payment. Marcus didn't have it. The Tesla? Same thing. Financed with money from the fake sale as a down payment. The kitchen renovation, contractor hadn't been paid in full, was threatening a lien. I heard about it from Emily. She'd run into Vanessa at the grocery store. "Dad." Vanessa looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even see me, just rushed past. I asked Marcus's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, if everything was okay. She said there are lawyers calling the house all day. I didn't say anything, just nodded, ate my sandwich. "Dad, do you know anything about this?" I looked at my daughter, my good daughter, the one who'd never asked for anything. "Emily, honey, there are some things I need to tell you. But not yet. Soon. Just trust me, okay?" She searched my face, then she smiled. "Just a little. You're not as confused as you act, are you? Some days are better than others." Phase 3 took longer. This was the part I'd been planning for months. Marcus worked for a medical supply company. His job was safe, good salary, benefits. Or it had been. What Marcus didn't know was that 6 months ago, I'd bought a significant amount of stock in his company. Not controlling interest, but enough. Enough to have questions asked. Through Patricia, through the trust structures, I'd raised concerns with the board. Concerns about Marcus's expense reports. Questions about his travel. Suggestions that someone should look more carefully at his accounts. They did, and they found things. Not illegal things, but sloppy things. Expense reports that were padded. Client dinners that might have been personal dinners. Mileage claims that didn't quite add up. In any other year, they'd have been overlooked. But the company was tightening belts, looking for excuses to cut costs. Marcus was expensive, and now he was under scrutiny. He was fired on a Thursday. Performance issues, they called it. Budget restructuring. He was given 2 weeks severance. For a guy who'd been there 12 years, they wanted him gone. Emily told me about it when she visited that Sunday. "Dad, Marcus lost his job. Did you know?" "No, that's terrible." He called me. He was actually crying, real crying this time. He said everything is falling apart. The house, the boat, the car, and now his job. He said he doesn't understand what's happening, that it's like he's cursed. That must be hard for him. Emily looked at me, really looked at me. "Dad, is this you? Are you doing this?" I took her hand. "Sweetheart, I'm a confused old man in a nursing home. What could I possibly do?" She squeezed my hand. "Dad, whatever you're doing, I think maybe it's enough now. He's suffering." Vanessa left him. "Did you know that? She filed for divorce last week, took their daughter, and moved in with her parents. I hadn't known about Vanessa leaving. That wasn't part of the plan. But it made sense. Vanessa had married Marcus for the lifestyle. When the lifestyle crumbled, so did the marriage. "Maybe it's time to talk to him," Emily said. Maybe he's learned. Maybe. But not yet. There's one more thing. That one more thing was Meadowbrook itself. The nursing home. Marcus was 3 months behind on payments. He'd been using his credit cards, maxing them out, trying to cover expenses while he looked for a new job. But the credit cards were full. The bills were piling up. Meadowbrook sent him a notice. Payment in full within 30 days, or his father would be transferred to a county facility. County facilities were worse. Much worse. Understaffed. Overcrowded. The kind of place where people went to wait to die. Marcus came to see me. It was the first time he'd visited since he'd dropped me off 4 months ago. He looked horrible. He'd lost weight. His shirt was wrinkled. He had dark circles under his eyes that looked like bruises. "Dad, we need to talk." "Of course, son. Sit down." "It's good to see you." He sat in the plastic chair next to my bed, put his head in his hands. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about everything. I thought I was helping. I thought I was doing the right thing." "I know you did, Marcus." "No, you don't understand. I didn't just think it. I convinced myself. I told myself you needed help, that you couldn't manage on your own. But really, I just wanted the money. I wanted what I thought you had. And now everything is gone. The house, my job, my wife. I can't even afford to keep you here. They're going to send you to county, and it's all my fault." He was crying. Real tears this time. Not performance tears. The kind that come from actual shame. "Marcus, look at me." He looked up. His eyes were red. "Do you know why everything fell apart?" He shook his head. "I don't know. Bad luck. Karma. Maybe I deserve it." "You do deserve it. But not because you're a bad person. Because you needed to learn something. Something I couldn't teach you any other way." "What are you talking about?" I stood up, reached under my mattress, pulled out a folder. Patricia had brought it last week. I handed it to Marcus. "Open it." He opened it. Inside were bank statements, account summaries, investment portfolios, trust documents. He stared at the numbers. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Dad, what is this? These accounts, these amounts. This can't be real." "It's real. All of it. $18 million, give or take. Depending on the market. But you're broke. You lived in that tiny house. You drove that old car. You wore those old clothes. I lived the way I wanted to live. I didn't need a big house or a new car. I had everything I needed. Your mother and I, we lived comfortably. We were happy. And when she died, I stayed the way I was because it felt right. Because it was enough." Marcus was shaking his head, still staring at the papers. "Then why did you let me do this? Why did you let me think you were incompetent? Why did you let me take everything? Because you needed to lose everything to understand what matters. You needed to feel what it's like to have nothing, to struggle, to count every dollar, to feel the weight of bills you can't pay and decisions you can't afford to make." I sat back down, looked at my son, my boy who I'd pushed in strollers and taught to ride a bike and helped with homework, my boy who'd gotten lost somewhere along the way. "Marcus, when you were 8 years old, you stole $20 from my wallet. Do you remember?" He nodded slowly. "Your mother wanted to ground you. But I said no. I said let's try something different. I made you earn $20 doing chores, mowing lawns in the neighborhood, washing cars. It took you 3 weeks. And when you finally had your $20, I told you to give it away, to donate it to the food bank. You cried. You said it wasn't fair, that you'd worked so hard. I remember. I hated you for that. But you never stole again, because you learned what money means, what work means, what earning something actually costs. And for a while, you remembered that. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You started thinking you deserved things just because you wanted them. You stopped seeing the work, the sacrifice, the cost." Marcus closed the folder, put it on the bed. "So this whole thing, the conservatorship, living here, the house, the boat, my job, all of it was you teaching me a lesson?" "Not all of it. Vanessa leaving was her choice. Your company firing you was their decision, though I might have nudged things along. But yes, I let you think you'd won. I let you have what you thought you wanted. so you could learn what it actually costs. That's cruel, Dad. Maybe. Your mother would have done it differently. She was kinder than me. But she's not here, and you needed to learn. Because what you were becoming, Marcus, that wasn't someone your mother and I raised. That was someone who'd forgotten where he came from. We sat in silence. Outside, someone's TV was too loud. A game show. Wheel of Fortune. Someone guessed the puzzle wrong. The buzzer sounded. What happens now? Marcus asked finally. Now you have a choice. You can stay angry. You can hate me for this. You can walk away and try to rebuild on your own. Or you can accept that you made mistakes, learn from them, and do better. Not for the money, not for what you think you deserve, but because it's right. What about the money? The 18 million? What about it? Is it mine when you die? That depends. Are you asking because you want to know if you have a future, or because you're already counting it? He flinched, looked down at his hands. I don't know. Both? I don't know anymore. I reached over, took the folder back. The money is in trusts, complex structures, set up in a way that it'll take care of me for the rest of my life and then distribute according to very specific conditions. Your sister Emily gets a third outright. She's earned it, never asked for anything, just loved me. The rest gets divided based on demonstrated values, work ethic, financial responsibility, compassion. The trustees will evaluate every 5 years. So I might get nothing. You might. Or you might earn it. That's up to you. Marcus stood up. He looked broken, exhausted. But there was something else there, too. Something that might have been understanding. I don't have anywhere to go, Dad. Vanessa took the apartment. I'm staying at a motel on Route 9. The kind that charges by the week. I'm applying for jobs, but no one's calling back. I'm broke. Actually broke. Not the way I thought you were broke. Actually, nothing in my account broke. Your sister has a spare room. Emily hates me. Emily loves you. She's angry at what you did. But she's your sister. She'll help you if you ask. If you're actually humble enough to ask. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he did something I hadn't seen him do since he was a child. He came over and hugged me. Just held on, shaking. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I hugged him back. I know, son. I know. He left. I watched him walk down the hallway, past the nurse's station, past the TV room where 3 people were now arguing about Jeopardy. He looked smaller somehow, younger, like the boy he'd been before. Life and ambition, and Vanessa's expectations had twisted him into someone else. Patricia arrived an hour later. I heard Marcus visited. He did. How did it go? He cried. He apologized. He asked about the money. Of course he did. So what now? You're not actually staying in this place, are you? Another week. Let it sink in. Let him really sit with what he's lost. Then we'll file to dissolve the conservatorship. Medical evaluation showing I'm fully competent. Should be straightforward given the whole thing was based on manufactured evidence. And then I go home, my real home. The condo downtown I bought 6 years ago. The one Marcus never knew about. Patricia smiled. You're a devious old man, Tom Reynolds. I'm a father who loves his son enough to let him fall. Emily came by that evening. She already knew. Marcus had called her, asked if he could stay with her for a while. She'd said yes. But you're going to therapy, and you're going to get a job, any job, and you're going to learn to be grateful for what you have. He'd agreed to everything. Dad, Marcus told me about the money, about the trusts, about all of it. I figured he would. Why didn't you ever tell me? Because you never needed to know, sweetheart. You were always okay, just the way things were. You didn't need money to know your worth. She sat on my bed, took my hand like she did when she was little. Marcus said he asked if the money was his when you die. He did. What did you tell him? I told him it depends on whether he earns it. That's fair. But Dad, when are you going to tell him the rest? What rest? That you already set up a trust for his daughter, for college. That she'll have everything she needs, whether Marcus earns his share or not. Because you're not actually punishing your granddaughter for her father's mistakes. I smiled. How did you know about that? Patricia told me. I asked her. I wanted to make sure that when you were being tough on Marcus, You were still being you underneath. And am I? Still me? Yeah, Dad. You're still you. Mom would be proud. She'd probably say you went too far, but she'd be proud. Maybe she would. Sarah always believed in second chances, in redemption, in the possibility that people could change if given the right push. This was Marcus's push. Hard, painful, but necessary. I left Meadowbrook 2 weeks later. The conservatorship was dissolved. Medical experts testified I was and had always been fully competent. The judge apologized. Marcus didn't fight it. He stood in the courtroom in a borrowed suit, his sister next to him, and watched as everything he'd taken was returned. He didn't ask for anything back. He'd already started a job as a sales associate at a furniture store, making $12 an hour. It wasn't much, but he showed up on time, worked hard, came home to Emily's spare room, and helped her grade papers in the evenings. I moved into my condo. 3 bedrooms, 23rd floor, views of the river. Emily came over on Sundays. She'd bring Marcus sometimes. He was quiet at first, awkward, but slowly, over weeks and months, we found our way back to something like a relationship. Not the same. It would never be the same, but something real, something based on truth instead of assumptions and expectations. Marcus asked me once, about 6 months after everything fell apart and started rebuilding, he asked me if I'd really planned all of it. Every piece. Most of it, I told him. Some things happened on their own. Vanessa leaving. That was her choice. Your company firing you. That was their decision. I just created the circumstances. Did you want me to suffer? I wanted you to learn. Suffering was part of learning, but it wasn't the point. The point was for you to understand what you'd lost. Not money, not things, but perspective, gratitude, humility. Did I learn? Are you asking me or yourself? He thought about it. Myself, I guess. Then you'll know the answer. A year later, Marcus was assistant manager at the furniture store. He'd moved into his own apartment, a small one, 1 bedroom. He'd started seeing someone, a teacher from Emily's school. Someone who didn't care about boats or Teslas. Someone who thought $12 an hour was honest work. He brought her to Sunday dinner. Her name was Claire. She was kind, real. She laughed at Marcus's self-deprecating jokes about his career change and didn't seem bothered that he drove a 15-year-old Corolla. After dinner, Marcus and I did the dishes while Emily and Claire talked in the living room. She's nice, I said. Claire, she is. She's nothing like Vanessa. Is that a good thing? It's the best thing. We worked in silence for a while, washing, drying, the rhythm of it familiar, something we'd done together when he was young. Dad, I never asked you. Why did you wait so long to teach me this lesson? Why not years ago? Because years ago, you weren't ready to learn it. You would have just been angry, felt victimized, blamed me. Sometimes you have to let someone get far enough down the wrong path that they can see where it leads. Sometimes you have to let them hit the bottom before they'll look up. That's harsh. Life is harsh. The world doesn't give second chances just because you're sorry. I had to make sure you understood that, really understood it. Down in your bones. Marcus dried the last plate. Put it away. Turned to me. Do you think I've learned enough to earn my share of the trust? Marcus, if you're asking me that question, you're still thinking about the wrong things. What should I be thinking about? Whether you've become someone your daughter will be proud of. Whether you've become someone who adds value to the world instead of just taking from it. Whether you've learned to measure your worth by who you are instead of what you have. He nodded slowly. I'm trying, Dad. Every day I'm trying. I know you are, son. That's all any of us can do. On Sunday night, after everyone left, I stood at my window, looking out at the river. The lights from the bridge reflected on the water. My phone rang. It was Patricia. Tom, I wanted to let you know, the trust administrators had their annual review. They looked at Marcus's progress over the past year. And they're impressed. The job, the apartment, the financial counseling he's been doing, the therapy. They're not ready to release any funds yet, but they noted significant progress. That's good. There's something else. Marcus set up a savings account. He's putting away $50 a month for his daughter, for when she's older. It's not much, but it's everything. Yes, it is. After Patricia hung up, I thought about my son, about the journey he'd taken, from the boy who took $20 from my wallet to the man who took everything he thought I had, and now, finally, to someone who was learning to build instead of take. Sarah would have been proud. She'd have said I was too hard on him, that there were easier ways. But she'd have understood why I did it. Because sometimes love means letting someone fall, and then giving them the chance to get back up on their own. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough to let them learn who they really are when everything else is gone. That's the lesson Marcus needed. The lesson I couldn't teach with words or money or gentle guidance. He needed to lose everything to understand what actually matters, to feel poverty, to know struggle, to sit in a motel room counting change and wonder how he got there. And then, when he'd hit bottom, when he had nothing left but his own two hands and his own decisions, that's when he could start building something real. Something that belonged to him, not because he inherited it or stole it or lucked into it, but because he earned it. 3 years later, Marcus is regional manager of 3 furniture stores. He married Claire. They have a small house, 2 bedrooms, a yard for his daughter to visit. He drives that same Corolla. He could afford better now, but he doesn't want it. He says the car runs fine, says there's no point in upgrading just to upgrade. He visits every Sunday, brings his daughter. She's 9 now, smart, kind. Nothing like the entitled child I worried she'd become. Marcus and Vanessa share custody. Marcus gets her every other week. He's a good father. Present. Attentive. Patient. Last Sunday, his daughter asked me about the house I used to live in. The one Marcus grew up in. The one he sold. "Grandpa," Daddy said he made a mistake with that house. What happened? Marcus looked uncomfortable. But I just smiled. Your daddy made some choices he had to learn from. We all do sometimes. Did you ever make mistakes, Grandpa? Lots of them, sweetie. Lots. But you fixed them? I tried to. And when I couldn't fix them, I tried to learn from them. That's the best any of us can do. She nodded, satisfied with that answer. Went back to coloring. Marcus walked me to the door when they were leaving. Dad, thank you. For everything. For the lesson. For not giving up on me. I never gave up on you, Marcus. I just had to step back and let you find yourself. If I'm being honest, some days I'm still angry. About what you put me through. The nursing home, the loss, all of it. You're allowed to be angry. It was hard. It was supposed to be hard, but I understand now why you did it. And if my daughter ever lost her way like I did, I hope I'd have the strength to do the same thing. I put my hand on his shoulder. You would. Because now you know, not just in your head, but in your heart. You know what matters. And that's worth more than $18 million. He hugged me. His daughter joined in. A group hug. Claire took a picture. Later, she'd posted on Facebook with the caption, Family Sunday. No mention of boats or cars or money. Just family. Just love. That night, I sat in my chair and thought about everything that had happened. The plan, the execution, the pain I'd caused my son in order to save him. Some people would say I was cruel, that I went too far, that a father shouldn't do what I did. Maybe they're right. Maybe there was a gentler way. But I don't think Marcus would have learned it. He needed to fall. He needed to feel the impact. He needed to rebuild from nothing to understand what something actually means. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Dad, Marcus just sent me a message. He said he's grateful. For you. For everything you taught him. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. I thought you'd want to know. I smiled. Texted back a simple, thank you. Then I opened my laptop. Patricia had sent me the annual trust report. Marcus's name was highlighted. The trustees had voted. After 3 years of demonstrated responsibility, growth, and genuine change, they were recommending the release of his first disbursement, 5% of his potential share. Not a fortune, but enough to make a difference. Enough to help him and Claire buy a bigger house. Enough to secure his daughter's future. The report ended with a note. Subject has demonstrated sustained behavioral change. Recommend continued monitoring but initial goals met. I approve the disbursement. Not because Marcus asked for it. He hadn't. Not because he needed it. He was doing fine on his own. But because he'd earned it. Really earned it. Not by being born, my son. Not by waiting for me to die. But by becoming someone worth investing in. Someone his mother would be proud of. Someone I was proud of. Someone who understood that money is just money, but character is everything. And sometimes, the greatest gift a father can give his son isn't money or comfort or an easy path. Sometimes it's the strength to hit bottom and the opportunity to climb back up. To learn who you are when you have nothing. To discover what you're capable of when you stop expecting and start earning. That's what I gave Marcus. The gift of loss. The gift of struggle. The gift of redemption. And in the end, it was worth every uncomfortable moment in that nursing home, every staged confusion, every calculated loss, because my son came back, not the person he was, but someone better, someone real, someone who finally understood what I'd been trying to teach him all along, that the only inheritance that matters is the one you give yourself, the person you choose to become, the values you live by, the love you share. Everything else is just numbers on a page. Here today, gone tomorrow. But who you are, who you become when everything is stripped away, that's forever. That's the legacy I wanted to leave. Not millions in a bank account, but a son who knew his worth, a daughter who never forgot hers, grandchildren who would learn from their parents' mistakes and triumphs. That's wealth, real wealth. The kind you can't spend or lose or have stolen, the kind that grows instead of diminishes, the kind that matters. And as I sit here now, in my condo overlooking the river, watching the lights dance on the water, I know I made the right choice. It wasn't easy, it wasn't kind, but it was necessary. Because sometimes love looks like letting go, and sometimes the greatest gift is the hardest lesson. Marcus learned his. And now, maybe, he can teach it to his daughter, pass it down, keep it going. That's all any of us can hope for. To leave the world a little better than we found it. One hard lesson at a time.